Good afternoon and welcome back to Valley News Now. North Dakota's athletics press conference just getting underway. We'll now go over to Grand Forks for live coverage.
Great to see you all again. Really excited to be here. We just wrapped up our non-conference slate for the year, finishing 7-4 after a great weekend in Green Bay where we got wins over Chicago State and Green Bay, and also got to battle against Minnesota, who's a top 20 program. And so we turn our attention now to Summit League Conference play. We started off with Omaha and Kansas City, who are the two teams that were in the Summit League Championship last year, and we get to play both of them on the road. And it's a really exciting challenge for us as we get going. And just a few things to highlight from our non-conference play. First and foremost, a shout out to Izzy McCormick and Haroline de los Santos Lugo, who were both named to our all-tournament team last week in Green Bay after two stellar performances over the weekend. And then two of our seniors, Maddie Horniak and Elizabeth Norris, continue to climb up the record books for UND. Elizabeth actually climbed this weekend. She's now fourth in the Division I era in career assists, and Maddie Hornick is fifth in the Division I era in career aces as well. So some great performances from them as they continue to climb up those rankings there. But just a total team performance as we continue to have multiple people shine in different roles for us playing over the course of non-conference play. And so we're excited to get going with conference and excited to start battling against people that we know a little bit better and just to start pursuing our Summit League tournament bid in that way. So, yeah, really excited to get going.
Coach, what have you taken away from the rest of the Summit and their non-conference performances? How is it shaping up to look in terms of the race, the Summit right now?
Yeah, really exciting. I think we've seen that everybody this year is better than they were a year ago with a few minor exceptions. But South Dakota, as always, has challenged themselves in their non-conference play and came away with some big wins over Missouri and Iowa State. We've seen South Dakota State go 11-0 in non-conference play, a slightly lighter schedule in terms of the quality of their competitors. But to be able to go out and be 11-0 and to take care of all those matches is really impressive, especially with the turnover they had with their roster. St. Thomas is having the best year that they've ever had in the Division I era, and we know that Denver is always going to be good, and when Hinsey's playing for NDSU, they're always going to be a threat, and Trinity Freeman at Oral Roberts is always going to be a threat, and so we know that we're going to have a lot of really tough matches this year, but it just makes us more excited because we like to play really good volleyball against really good teams, and so we can't wait to go and compete against them.
That transition from non-con to conference play, is there anything that the Summit, maybe it's the last couple of years or this year in particular, is known for in terms of stylistically? You know, in football, you get to Missouri Valley football conference play and it's running the football. You know, is there a Summit volleyball equivalent?
Yeah, you know, I think from my time at Denver and my time here at North Dakota, we've studied the conference a lot, and one of the things that we found consistently over the last decade is that the Summit League is a very strong defensive conference. You've got teams like South Dakota that are traditionally in the top 10 to top 25 in the country in digs per set, but across the board, we found that if you're able to score offensively in the Summit League, you actually score even better in the NCAA tournament because the quality of the floor defense and the block defense in the conference is really, really strong. We've also seen over the last few years that the quality of the serve and pass game in the conference has really elevated as well, and so it's exciting for us knowing that we've seen that we've had an edge in the serve and pass game in almost every single match that we've played thus far this year, and I'm excited to see how that translates in conference where we know everybody's going to be really good at that phase.
How do you feel about your defense right now? You know, some of the things you mentioned earlier, we're talking about a couple defensive players there. Where do you guys stand right now?
Yeah, really, really exciting because we can produce in a lot of different ways. We're going to serve you off the net. We're going to get a lot of aces, but we're also going to serve you off the net, which is going to make it really hard for offenses to be in system and to score. And then we've got a really quality block where we've got 6 different people at the net that can really slow you down and score points there. And that means that you're going to have to be less aggressive when you make your attack choices. And then we've got people in the back row that are eating it up right now. And so in all 3 phases of the defensive side of the game, we're able to put a lot of pressure on our opponents. And we've seen that impact everybody. I mean, we've had, I think, 3 or 4 different teams that we've held to below 100 points in their hitting efficiency on the year. And we've had double-digit blocks in a majority of our matches, and we are crushing it from the service line with aces. And so not only knowing that we're going to hold you to low efficiency, but we're going to be able to do it in multiple different ways makes it really hard to game plan against us.
Do you want your players and their processes to feel any different as you change from non-con to conference play here? Or, you know, what do you sense from that end of the thing? Is it just the schedule changes, so the schedule changes? Or do you see things you can put your finger on that are different now?
Yeah, I think for us, we wanted to schedule in a way where every weekend felt like we were playing one of the top teams in our conference. And so we really tried to challenge ourselves in that way. And so as we look ahead at conference play and the success that we've had thus far, if we want to keep having that success, we've got to keep doing the things that have led to that success. So our processes and our tactics and our strategies, they're not really changing, but it's more about, can we continue to refine what we're doing and pound the rock in those different phases.
Coach, you guys are getting ready for this, conference schedule. What's the biggest takeaway you've seen from this team from, preseason to where you guys are at now?
Yeah, I think for us, it's the ability for anybody to perform at a really high level at any given moment. And we've seen different people go off in different matches offensively. We've seen different people being really dominant defensively in different phases. And so knowing that anybody has the ability to do that at any given time makes it really hard to game plan against us. And then if you couple that with the fact that people are starting to do those things more consistently, have those high-level performances more consistently, once we've got all people firing on at their highest level all the time, it's going to be really, really tough to play us, which we're excited about.
And despite the loss to Minnesota, what was the biggest takeaways that you took from a game against a high-ranked opponent?
Yeah, Minnesota is probably one of the best serving teams in the country, and they've got a huge block and they've got really powerful attackers. And so for us, obviously we're not satisfied with the result, but we were able to play with them for the first third of every single set that we were in. And so seeing that what we're doing and the way that we're playing is good enough to compete with a top 20 team in the country was really positive for us. Now, the ability to sustain that over time and to battle back and punch back when you get punched yourself, that's something that we can continue to grow. But to start off with the two teams that were in the last year's Summit League Championship is a great opportunity for us to continue to get better at that.
And what's the biggest thing you want to see from your team, as you guys hit the road for this conference slate?
I think for us, it's just continuing to do the things that have allowed us to be great. It's going to get, as we get deeper into the year, the weather is going to change. We're going to have a harder academic load as more midterms and exams and papers come up. And so continuing to do the things that have allowed us to be successful at a really high level, both on and off the court, is going to be huge.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Now we'll hear from graduate setter Elizabeth Morris. Like Coach said, Elizabeth moved into 10th place in the all-time career assist list and 4th all-time in Division I. That's 1,725 assists.
Right off the top of your head, no cheat sheet on that? Wow, good job. Elizabeth, you maybe just heard Coach answer this, but what changes as the schedule changes from non-con to conference play here? What you feel any different?
I don't think we feel much different. Obviously, we're going to places that we've been before, so there's a little bit of comfort there. I know exactly what I'm going to get when I walk into Omaha's gym, Kansas City's gym, versus places that we haven't been to before. But I think nothing big changes. It's just we're going in, we're playing volleyball, we're trying to get better at our skills every day.
What are you guys doing well right now? What are you happy with? What element of your guys' game?
I'm very happy with our start. As Coach said, we've been able to start strong in the majority of our sets in our matches, and we've also been talking a lot about finishing strong, and I think that that's something that we were able to do this weekend against Green Bay especially. Just keeping that level of consistency throughout the match is something that we've worked really hard on, and I think will help us coming into conference play.
Was that kind of your biggest takeaway from the Gophers matchup, or what do you think how you guys performed there?
I think we learned a lot from that match. Yes, we started out really strong, which was great, and then finding the ability to stay consistent throughout the match will be helpful for us. I think another thing against Minnesota that we could learn from is just the ability to have different shots. Obviously, they're a little bit bigger than the blockers that we've faced in previous matchups, and our ability to just be able to find different shots around the block and play almost a little bit of a different style of volleyball than what we're used to playing will allow us to grow even more.
How's it feel climbing up the record books there for UND?
Honestly, I had no idea until Coach told me on our bus ride home the other day, but it feels good. I'm really grateful to my team to be able to be around me while this happens. Obviously, I can't get any numbers without a pass before me and a kill after me, but it's pretty cool.
And one thing we talked about in the preseason was, that goal of winning the Summit League. How important is it to start on the right foot, with these 2 games against 2 opponents that were in the championship game last year?
It's very important. I think going out there and just playing the volleyball that we know how to play is what'll take us there. Obviously, it's a long conference season, and we are going to play everyone twice, at least, maybe a 3rd time if we make it to the Summit League tournament. But I think just knowing that it's going to be a long conference season, but starting off strong always helps.
And final question I have for you is, obviously you have a lot of players that can, get kills for you, coming off your passes. How important is it to have, it's not just on the left side or right side, but anywhere in between to keep a defense honest?
I think it's great. One thing that really sets our team apart from a lot of teams in the conference and just throughout the country is we don't necessarily have just one hitter that's going to be terminal for us. We have multiple hitters at any given moment. It makes my job as a setter pretty fun that I'm going to set everyone and anyone. People are going to have to read me and guess where I'm going, and knowing that I've got hitters on the other end of that at the end of the day, like, I can set anyone, they're going to get a kill. It feels really good for me. Thank you.
We have head coach Bubba Schweigert here. We'll begin with the opening statement and then open it up for questions.
Right, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Good to see you again. I'm going to look back to Saturday, our last non-conference game, and thought it was really a great win for our program. We had a lot of unfortunate things take place early in the game. Got off to a good start with getting a pick early in the game, settled for a field goal, and then after that, those things took place. And some of those were things we couldn't control. Some things were self-inflicted. Obviously, we address the things that are self-inflicted, but I really felt our team stuck together and had another good halftime in the locker room and came out and played a really good third quarter. What really gave us some momentum, I felt, was late in the half after a turnover when our defense held them and we got the ball back and were able to run out the clock and end the half. And then another big key in the game, turning it over early in the third quarter and holding them to a field goal. Give our opponent credit. They hit a 54-yarder. Was big for them to go up, but then for us to get explosive plays, get the crowd back into it. And the crowd plays a factor at the Alaris Center. We know that. So I was really pleased with the win. Finished on offense with 9 minutes running off the clock and ending up in the end zone. So a number of positive things we can build upon and get the things corrected that we need to get corrected. And we move forward to conference play and look forward to hosting Missouri State. I'm very impressed with their talent level. We're trying to learn as much as we can about Coach Wright's team. A lot of newcomers on this team, but really impressed. Their quarterback has won a lot of games as a college quarterback, Johansson at South Dakota School of Mines, and He's got their longest run of the year, so he can hurt you with both his arm and his feet. Leading receiver is a basketball player and very athletic, and now he's back playing football, so we got to be aware of where he is on the field. But they have a number of guys make catches, so I think they're still trying to learn about their roster too with all these new players. And then the tailbacks are really good. You know, this is a team that's averaging over 4 yards a carry. One of their backs, I believe it is Morgan, is averaging over 6 yards a carry, but they're very capable and good up front on offense. So when anybody can rush the ball like they are effectively, that's a concern for you going into the game. And then defensively, a lot of new faces, but explosive players. I like their DNs, Barnes and Flowers are long and athletic. And then their top 3 tacklers are transfers from FBS schools, Georgia Tech, Florida Atlantic, and Cincinnati. So this is a team that we got to do a good job preparing, and the focus, as always, is going to remain on us and how we prepare for this game. It's homecoming, be a lot of excitement in the community, on campus, and we hope to have a packed Alara Center on Saturday.
You know, lots of different personnel, like you said. Is there scheme or style? Is there anything that you can pull from last year, or is it everything new?
Yeah, it's a lot new. You know, we tried to, throughout the summertime, do some work and where the coaches came in from, a lot of different influences, and try to, you know, look at what they're going to do, and then take these 3 games that we have and try to break them down and see what's similar. But it creates a challenge. But, you know, there's Coach Wright worked for Coach Saban a couple of different occasions, and the other guys have other SEC experience and from different areas around the country. So we're just trying to figure it out as best we can.
You're coming in on a 4th straight home game. Now that you've gone through more than 3/4 of it, what's the experience been like? What do you think?
Yeah, you get into a good routine. I think it's been really good to get into a routine, and our guys, because we had a lot of new faces too. But I think we know what to expect at the Alara Center now, and we hope that we get a lot of energy going early. And as we talk to our guys all the time, you know, when we make plays, that creates the energy. And, you know, we've got to always remember that we still create the energy, but the home crowd's been awesome, and we feel like it'll be another great home crowd on Saturday. And if we can make some plays and get the energy going, it should help us.
I feel like this is the same question we just talked to volleyball about, but as you change to conference play, do you want your guys to have any different feel towards this newness, or do you want them to treat every game the same, or you know, how do you transition here?
Well, I think some things happen naturally when you get into conference play. You're playing for something a little bit different. You know, FCS football, though, every week's a big game because you're building a resume to get into the postseason. But, you know, if we can stay in the moment and stay one day at a time, one practice at a time, and, you know, make the next most important thing the most important thing, that's really key for our team and for our preparation.
How about is this Hall of Fame weekend as well here? You have any inductions you want to point out there?
Well, it's really fun. Mike Volker's going in for UND football, and I got to watch him play out at Old Memorial Stadium. Great player, and going to get to see him back on campus and his teammates, and it's always fun. This week is a lot of fun with a lot of excitement. Former players coming back and guys from the 60s, 70s, 80s. All those guys appreciate getting back and being together, and they'll come around and be around the team. And always a special week, homecoming week and Hall of Fame week.
You touched on Murray State already a little bit, Coach, but what do you think is the biggest challenge of facing them this weekend?
What Murray State is facing?
Yeah, Murray State, yeah.
Well, you probably have to ask them, but, I suppose they're going on the road and coming to a place for the first time. But, we're going to focus on our preparation and preparing for them. That's what we got to stay focused on.
How much do you think it helps your team to have come back twice in the second half to get a victory already this season in terms of adversity going forward?
Well, I just think it reinforces the belief that the guys have in each other and the belief we have in them, and that we can do it. You'd rather be ahead at halftime. You'd rather be ahead, but sometimes you're going to be behind, and especially in our league, there's going to be a lot of fourth quarter games and games that are coming down right to the finish, and that's what it prepares you for.
You mentioned the importance of energy earlier. With Murray State coming off a bye week and you guys really in the grind of your home stretch, how do you make sure that your guys are staying energized with Murray State being rested?
Yeah, I just hope we can do it. We talk to our guys about it. We talk, throughout the week. There's a physical preparation, mental preparation, and then you got to be at the right emotional level to play. And a lot of times that emotional level gets to the right point when you perform really well. And when you have adversity, it's harder to get to that point. But it can't be too high, can't be too low, but you got to find that right level to be at emotionally to perform at a high level.
Talking about ball security, with how strong Murray State is defensively, is there anything that you guys do differently to practice that or make sure that you hold on to your possessions?
Well, we practice it every day, and we've got to secure the ball. We know that. And, when we had some of those take place this past Saturday, and then you got to overcome them. You don't want those things to happen, but you sure got to be able to handle it and get back out there and have faith in the guys that we're going to secure the ball and give them opportunities to recover from those type of incidents.
Coach, a couple of touchdowns this past Saturday were wide open, on the back end of your defense. What have you guys talked about in terms of shoring that up, when you guys are going up against Murray State?
Yeah, you got to be a Simon Sharp. You really got to do that. And when you get a little different look, you got to be able to adjust to it. And we as coaches got to be able to prepare our guys as best we can for those looks, because you sure want teams to have to come and earn it each and every week. They got to earn their scores and make plays that they really have to work for. And when they don't have to work for them, that can give them a lot of momentum. But once again, I felt our guys did a really good job recovering from those situations, and the last 3 quarters of defense were really solid and really, really good when we really needed the defense to step up.
All right, and Coach, obviously, Rumfo comes in as the starter. What growth have you seen from him, especially with that deep ball that he displayed this past weekend?
Yeah, I think that was it. He made some explosive plays, and once again, he was able to recover after, one ball gets tipped and gets picked. The next one is, probably he would take back that decision, and you got to be able to recover from that. And, he continues to learn and progress. But, as I said after the game, I just love that he's such a competitor and he can recover from those things, and he's tough, and I think the guys will rally around him, and we really appreciate that about him.
And then final question I have is, obviously the defense really stepped up in that second half, limiting San Diego's possessions and offensive yards. How important is it that your defense doesn't, break down, after a turnover on offense, and that, they stay their ground and keep you guys in these games?
Those are huge points in the game. We walk through situations all the time, and we talk to our defense and talk about the sudden change that, you got to look at it. This is an opportunity to get the momentum back. And we did a good job of that on Saturday. And the more you do that, the more belief you have. And we've got to continue to have that belief when our team needs our defense to step up and get momentum back, that we can run out there and do it.
And obviously you've talked about having a strong start in the beginning is huge for you guys. What offensively are you going to focus on this week heading in to ensure that you guys do have that?
Well, I think we practice it all the time, but the one thing you really got to do is play clean football, and part of that is eliminating penalties. We had some discipline penalties, the 5-yarders. There's a big difference between 1st and 10 and 1st 15. It might not seem like it's that big, or maybe it's a 2nd and 5 that becomes a 2nd and 10. Huge difference between those calls. So to play clean and take care of the ball is one thing that'll really help us to get off to a better start.
And with more realignment in the FBS level and rumors about other Missouri Valley teams moving to backfill, have you kept any tabs on anything along those lines?
I really haven't. We got a lot of work to do to prepare for games. So that's our job, is to really focus and, just like we talked to our players about eliminating outside noise, we got to do the same as coaches. I feel like I got to do the same and just really focus on what's taking place in our building, getting ready for games and to compete during the 2024 season. That's our focus right now.
Anything else, Coach?
All right. Thank you very much.
Up next, we'll have captain, receiver Bo Velquist. We'll open it up for questions.
All right, Bo, deep ball was there for you guys on Saturday. How important is it that is now a part of your guys' offense going forward?
Yeah, it's a big part of our offense, and I think it's important that Simon was able to get one of those in the game and help build his confidence, and it's a good look for our offense as well to try to help the defense play back a little more and open up the run game.
And out of your 2 touchdowns, which one was your favorite?
I'd probably say that post, just because it kind of got us going, kind of sparked us a little bit, and kind of flipped the momentum of the game.
And what are you guys seeing in terms of your preparations, for Murray State's defense?
Yeah, obviously Coach hit on a lot of the key points of their defense. A lot of new faces, a lot of guys from all over. So it's going to be important to look at their last 3 games and see what their tendencies are, and kind of figure out what they're going to do on Saturday.
If you had one thing that you wanted to change up what you guys are doing offensively, what would that be heading into this next week?
Not much that we can change. It's kind of what we got to do. It's week to week. Whatever the defense gives us, we're gonna try to take that. And if it's run the ball, then we'll run the ball. And if they're gonna make us pass the ball, then we got to do our best to get open for Simon.
What was one of your biggest takeaways from this last game?
I think just the way we battled adversity. Obviously, we didn't come out with a good start, which we've been, kind of preaching all week, and so it was kind of a bummer that way. But I thought we handled it well and came out second half, firing on all cylinders, and the defense was there the whole time to have our back.
What was going through your head when Simon throws an interception to start the second half, and you guys get the ball back, and maybe the thought was that maybe you guys were going to be really conservative and run the football, but you guys go deep. What's going through your head when that play call comes in?
Yeah, no, obviously you get a little excited when you get a deep play action play call in from the sideline, and that's all up to Coach Frichte, and it's all props to him for putting trust in Simon, and he easily could have started running the ball and doing all that conservative, but to have trust in Simon and go out there and make a play and have his back like that, I think that just builds trust through the whole team.
What's it been like from a player's perspective to have a 4th straight home game? You just really don't see that very often.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Obviously, you don't have to worry about travel, and you kind of get in a nice routine, and I don't want to say you get comfortable, but it's nice not having to travel on plane rides and staying at hotels and all that. So it's pretty nice. But conference play is coming now. We're gonna obviously have one more home game and then travel down to NDSU, and then we'll have a couple away games. But it's good to get in that routine. Get a feel for the game. Especially we got a lot of new faces on our team, so kind of getting everybody comfortable with the schedule. I think it helped a lot.
Does anything change for you that it's a Missouri Valley Conference opponent this weekend?
For me, I think it kind of brings the intensity level up with film study and on the field. It's usually a more physical game in the Valley, so we got to really bring that mindset this whole week and make sure we reach out to the young guys and let them know that it's going to take another step up here. So we got to be ready for it.
Anything else for Bo?
Yeah, just one more.
You've had a pair of 100-yard games the last couple of weeks. What do you think has been working for you these last 2 games that's led to that much success?
I truly believe it's the run game. A lot of the teams have been having to stack the box due to our first 2-3 weeks where we could just run the ball at will, and that makes our job a lot easier because they're putting a lot of guys in the box and making us win one-on-one routes out on the outside. So that's the main reason.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you.
Up next, we have defensive back Tyler Berthman. We'll open it up for questions.
How have you felt about getting your first taste of college football here? A few games under your belt now.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's a new experience coming from high school. A lot more fans, a lot more pressure a little bit too. But some of the older guys have been a huge help with that too. So now just trying to build confidence as I keep going on.
Did it help having the interception?
Oh yeah, a little bit. It's definitely something you really want early in your career. You want to get one of those. So now that's a little bit off the shoulders. So yeah, it helps a little bit. Yeah.
What was going through your head when you get thrust into a starting role in the first play at Iowa State? They throw a deep ball to an NFL caliber wide receiver. Is that a weird way to start your career?
Yeah, it's definitely not how you imagine starting it, but yeah, you got it out of the way. So it was not the best start, but been able to build confidence from that going on after that.
What do you think of starting Missouri Valley play now? You haven't maybe gone through it exactly like some of these other guys, but do you expect any different feelings this week, game week? What do you think of starting Valley play?
I think a lot of it will be the same. Obviously, you're playing from a conference championship now, but each week's important. We got to go into it like every other week.
Especially going into conference play this week, how much do you think it's helped your team to have faced that adversity of coming back from 2 second-half deficits already to win a couple of those games you guys have won this season?
Yeah, I think it shows a lot about the character in our locker room. Guys haven't been getting down on each other, been staying positive, and yeah.
Last game of this 4-game homestand, of course. How much fun has it been to get some home cooking done, I guess, win those first 3 games and try to win one more this weekend?
Yeah, it's nice to be able to be in a routine with all the home games, and the fans obviously add a whole nother element. We build off that energy, so yeah, it's been a huge help.
How are you guys feeling though as a defense that you guys have been shutting people down in the second half?
Yeah, it's a huge confidence boost. Offense can look at us and know we're going to come out and get a stop for them, and it goes the same way. We know that if we make a mistake out there, let up a touchdown, the offense can come right back out and get on the board for us.
What's it been like being able to share these experiences with friends and family that you're playing college football and going out there and playing for a D1 program?
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. Week 1 against Iowa State, I had a lot of friends and family come out, and then my parents have been coming to every game. So yeah, it's pretty special to me to have all that support from them.
And who on the defense has helped you along this process of getting better and better each week?
Yeah, there's been a lot of guys. Cole Davis, one of the safeties, he's been here for a little while. So if I ever have questions, I know I can go to him. And then some guys who played a lot of football for us, like Josh Navratil, Malachi McNeil, Wyatt, Pedigo, they've all been a huge help for me, and I know I can lean on them.
And what's your favorite thing about playing in the Allaire Center?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think definitely just the energy in the building. You can feel it every third down. The crowd gets super loud, so it's been a lot of fun.
Anything else for Tyler? Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
regarding this past weekend. What a amazing weekend for UND softball and everyone that's been involved in our program. The support that we had come out for our opener was really, more than we probably could have imagined. To see the crowd full like that for us, and played a great game against a great opponent, which I think helped out the environment. But really just a great day for our program and for softball in this region to see a really well played ball game, and to see all the young kids that were out there and that interacted with our girls afterwards was just an awesome experience.
Coach, we talked a lot about the park. Just kind of curious, where are you at with your roster in terms of what are your focuses this offseason in terms of maybe we're good at this, we need to get better at this. Where do you guys sit competitively?
Yeah, we have a really large roster, more than probably. I haven't looked at everybody's sites so far, but probably more than anybody in our conference right now. And so the fall is really for that, is to try to figure out who will be those 9 that get an opportunity to go out there a lot, who gets to make travel squads. And so we're putting a lot of people on the field. We played all 27 healthy bodies through the weekend. So, and we'll continue to do that through the fall. But I think the 2 things that we're always going to rest on is we want solid pitching and we want to play good defense. And if we can do those 2 things, our offense will take over. But I think if you were just looking from the weekend, it's we got to clean up some defensive things, and we've got to be able to hit the ball a little bit better.
Coach, obviously, the fall league is, preparation for spring ball. How important is it to see the development in your roster here?
Well, it's huge, right? That is the number one reason that we play fall ball. I've said this throughout the kind of couple of weeks leading up to this, is we're trying to tamper down some expectations for the game, because it still is fall ball. It still is used for development. We still want to get everybody in, but that first one was so important for us. Like, we wanted to get a win on the board in that game, but we just want to continue to, we've got 11 new players on our roster, and so we've got to get them a lot of playing time so we actually know what we have going into the spring. But that will continue to be the focus. All of our pitchers will get opportunities, all of our young kids will get opportunities, everybody will get a chance, and we just want to be able at the end of the fall to say we've given everybody a pretty equal opportunity and the cream will rise.
All right, and final question I have for you is, what's the biggest thing you've seen so far from preseason stuff and getting ready, and from that first game, what's the biggest jump or takeaway that you've seen?
Honestly, I was really pleased with how we handled ourselves on that day. Like, that's probably more people than any of our players have ever played in front of, and I thought we handled it really, really well. There were some nerves for sure, but I thought we settled in really well. So that was really cool for me to see in that environment that our athletes were able to handle that and be able to play good softball in that environment. But I think our pitching was strong. Like, we threw 2 quality games, and we're going to need that.
You talked about last week how the field kind of had its quirks. Have you guys kind of adjusted to those, or what else do you guys have to figure out?
No, not yet. Nothing really, thankfully, nothing quirky happened in that game. But our opposing team hit one out in BP, and the ball came rolling back to the infield. They're like, oh, that's new. They hit one. I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. But no, we didn't have anything. I think one thing that we were nobody hit it out, but like, there's opportunity for fan interference, which is like unheard of in softball. But no, nothing happened. Thankfully, we were okay.
Do you already talked about kind of some of those highlights from the grand opening, but did you have one specific moment that you realized that the stadium was yours and you had a team like that to back behind you?
I think it was the second we walked out of the Pollard and saw how many people were actually there waiting for us to come in. And the crowd filled out nicely, but just everything that was set up for us and the people that were standing there waiting to get inside, and then how quickly they came in and filled up the stands, that was just the feeling of, holy cow, this is something today, and this is going to be something big for our program as we go forward. Yep.
What was that experience like to have that kind of environment with your name on the stadium like that?
That was absolutely unbelievable. It's been a long time coming, especially getting to see some of the behind-the-scenes work, finally getting out to practice on the fall, and then all of a sudden there's 1,500 people surrounding you in a stadium, and that was just absolutely incredible to watch.
I mean, you're probably one of the first people who know of the general idea. What do you remember, like, exactly where you were or what you thought when you first hear about this idea?
Well, I'm sure people have heard the stories. It all started at my very first fall ball game. One of the seniors said, "Hey, the president's here," and all of a sudden, 2 innings later, I look over and my dad's talking to the president. And a year and a half later, he told me about what he was doing, and I was just it's just an honor to be a part of it, and I'm so thankful for everything that both my parents have given me. So.
What is your guys' focus now here? As maybe you kind of had the big hoopla out of the way, and now I imagine some more work is to be done here. What's your focus this off season here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in preparation for the spring, so we're really trying to amp up. Make sure defense. Obviously, coach said, you could see the nerves in the first inning, myself included. But to play solid defense, to have solid pitching, and to try to get the hitting up there. So, when all three come together, we know we can win. So that's the focus, try to get all three to cohesively go together in one game. Last one for me is just, what's your favorite part of the park? My favorite part, personally, it's a fan and it's a player park. Getting to be involved in some of that stuff, my dad really worked on the fan experience side of it, where I got to work on, the player side of it. So, I was very involved with helping with some of the dugout stuff. But honestly, my favorite part is the party deck and the connection for me personally to aviation, to see some of those cool things out there, the taxiway lights, the runway, the windsock that we specially ordered in green and white. I know the sign isn't up there yet, but some of those things are just awesome to see, the connection for me personally.
10 years from now, when you look back on the memories that you made this past weekend and, at this new park, what's the biggest thing you're going to remember?
Honestly, we were trying to all take it in. While the other team was taking their infield practice, we were all just kind of looking around, seeing all these people just surrounding us. But truly my favorite part was when people started to walk in, the grandstands filled up first. But 2 minutes later, I look over and the party deck is so full that people can't even get to the front. And that, for me, was just that was so awesome to see.
And what does it also mean to see, resources and stuff being, poured into UND softball?
Yeah, it's great. Apollo served us well for the many years that we played on it. But it's a small community field off campus, and it even starts going to practice. We don't have to drive 5 minutes down the road to go to practice somewhere, and you feel a lot more a part of campus.
All right, and obviously, fall ball is all about getting your guys' roster ready for spring. What's the biggest takeaway you've seen from off-season workouts to what you guys saw in that first weekend?
For me, seeing all the young kids out there, none of them looked like they were very overwhelmed. They fit in very well with our team, and I'm excited to see how they can help us win in the spring.
Thanks for tuning into the North Dakota Athletics press conference. Stay tuned tonight on Valley News Live. Devin Fry bringing you coverage on UND athletics and more. And don't forget to tune back in tomorrow. North Dakota State takes the podium for their weekly football availability. Until then, thank you for tuning in on Valley News Now.